Hello, thanks for joining us. This is Nationwide. I'm Ruth Aguela. President Bola Ahmed Tinubu says Nigeria must achieve the economic growth, leverage on what it has, and grow more to satisfy Nigerians. The president stated this during the maiden meeting of the Federal Executive Council at the Presidential Villa in Abuja. He urged the newly sworn-in ministers to see their appointments as a call to service and an opportunity that would ensure homegrown solutions to the country's economic challenges, as well as re-engineering processes that will lead to availability of resources and making the economy work for the people.
Work hard, commit ourselves, and create a buoyant economy that will serve every Nigerian. Policy agenda will be set to reform the economy to deliver sustainable and inclusive growth, strengthen national security for peace and prosperity. Without security, there can be no investment.
Let's turn to other issues. Yobe State government will spare no expense in further reshaping the destiny of its people through sustained delivery of development infrastructures and services in tune with the dreams of the founding fathers of the state. Governor Mai Mala Buni made this declaration at a retreat for the newly inaugurated State Executive Council in Kano. Elizabeth Yela reports.
From ruins of prolonged years of Boko Haram insurgency, when Mai Mala Buni took over in 2019, Yobe State has witnessed mass deliveries of development infrastructures and social services. This retreat for the newly constituted State Executive Council aims at scaling up their technical competence and positive mindset to further fast-track delivery of more development legacies.
I am convinced that with the quality of the carefully selected resource persons and presenters, we will at the end of this retreat be better equipped and prepared to face the collective task of developing the state with much vigor, commitment and passion.
Resource persons at the retreat were emphatic that truthfulness, innovation, self-confidence and goal-achieving mindset are necessary guarantees for successful leadership.
We must anchor our leadership on survival of not only the individual but the state. The spirit of solidarity, compassion, respect and dignity.
The truth is timely, and this is what we have been looking forward to, make emphasis on teamwork.
We are learning a lot. We intend to put into practice all the things that we've planned.
And the need for us to think about leadership as a responsibility, as Amana put it.
The retreat is the first official interface between the governor and his cabinet members after their inauguration some days ago. Elizabeth Yila, NTA News.
As part of a broader effort to reduce the cost of governance in Nigeria, President Bola Tinubu has directed the Federal Ministry of Foreign Affairs to freeze the processing of visas for all government officials seeking to travel to New York for the United Nations General Assembly without proof of direct participation in UNGA's official schedule of activities. In a statement via his special advisor on media and publicity, Ajuri Ngilali, President Tinubu hinged this on the need to prevent sharp practices, directing the U.S. mission in Nigeria, Nigeria's permanent mission in New York, and MDAs in Nigeria to be guided accordingly. The Police Service Commission has compulsorily retired DIGs Den Malam Mohammed Moses Jitabo, Hafiz Mohammed Inua, and Adeleke Adeyinka Bodi. A statement by the Commission says, in the wake of the appointment of the Acting Inspector General of Police, Kayode Egbetekun, on the 19th of June 2023 by Mr. President. The Commission had expected, in consonance with the tradition of discipline and regimented culture of the Nigeria Police Force, that those DIGs who were seniors in rank prior to his elevation will voluntarily apply for retirement. The Commission, having waited for ample time with no such application from any of them, took the decision to compulsorily retire them in order to uphold discipline, which is the bedrock of the force. Similarly, the Commission also approves the appointment of 4 Assistant Inspectors General of Police to the rank of Deputy Inspectors General of Police, which would be subject to ratification by the board of the Commission to replace the retired DIGs. The newly appointed DIGs, drawn from the same respective geopolitical zones of the retired ones, are Ibrahim Sani Kaoji, Daniel Shokari Pedro, Ayuba Ekpeji, and Usman Nagugo. The federal government has alerted states and relevant government agencies over plans by the Cameroonian government to open the floodgates of Lagdo Dam on the Benue River. A statement by the Permanent Secretary of the Ministry of Foreign Affairs says the Cameroonian authorities will open the dam in days ahead due to heavy rainfall around the dam catchment area in northern part of the country. The statement urges National Emergency Management Agency NEMA to take necessary actions that will mitigate the damage, as well as sensitize the states and people living in such areas for vigilance and all precautionary measures. Meanwhile, the Director General of the Nigeria Hydrological Services Agency, Clement Nze, during NTA's Weekend Fire program on Saturday, that was August 26, allayed fears of possible overwhelming flooding as a result of the release of water from the Lagdo Dam in Cameroon.
So that's what they are doing. And after about a week, 2 weeks rather, they reduce the quantity. Now, release of water from dams is a proper reservoir operation to safeguard the integrity of the dam. What has been released so far has nothing to, there's no cause for alarm in terms of downstream dwellers, both in Cameroon and down to Nigeria. So it's a normal operation. So far, there's no cause for alarm in terms of the water release. It's a normal procedure. At the downstream, the confluence in Lokoja is still quite below the corresponding value in 2022. So this just informs Nigerians that as of today, there's no cause for alarm by the water release from Cameroon. And also inland dams in Nigeria, there's no problem yet. It will.
Of Art, Culture and Creative Economy, Hannatu Musawa, says she has not issued any official statement regarding her NYSC status, contrary to reports on social media platforms. In a statement issued by the Deputy Director, Press, Federal Ministry of Information and National Orientation, Suleiman Haruna, the minister disassociated herself from the report purportedly titled "My Personal Statement on My NYSC Status as a Serving Minister." The minister urged the public to be cautious of unverified information and expressed appreciation for their support, solidarity and understanding. In a significant step towards enhancing higher education cooperation, the Gambia's Minister of Higher Education has met with the Acting Executive Secretary of Nigeria's National Universities Commission, NUC, in a bilateral meeting aimed at furthering collaborative efforts between the two countries. During the meeting, both parties underscored the historical ties that have bound Nigeria and the Gambia in the field of higher education. Quality assurance mechanisms and capacity building emerged as focal points, with Nigeria's experience in maintaining high standards and quality in higher education becoming a subject of interest for the Gambia.
Well-informed, well-educated citizenry, and that cannot be done if it is not anchored on higher education. And here to see how best we can continue working together and building capacity, especially at postgraduate level, or our different staff from our different satellite institutions.
We will expect a formal request from the side of the Gambia so that we can begin to, in the succeeding months and weeks, begin to take a look at numbers, the institutional affiliations where these scholarships could be attainable.
At the end of the meeting, both parties expressed optimism for the future of their collaborative efforts, with a renewed commitment to building on the existing foundation of cooperation. Still on education, in response to the public outcry on the exorbitant fees charged by tertiary institutions in Kaduna State, the state government a few days ago reviewed down the school fees to a reasonable amount we hear the students can now afford. The review affects all state-owned tertiary institutions in the state, with either 30% or 50% reduction.
Dennis Benedict, a 400-level student of Sociology Department in Kaduna State University, recalled his experiences when the school fees was suddenly increased.
There was a time I was sleeping in the class because I was dodging my landlord. I couldn't give him his complete money because I had to sleep in the school and do some menial jobs for people so that I can gather money and pay my school fees because it's the most paramount thing.
Although Dennis is left with such memories to remember in his lifetime, his worries and that of many students is now over, as the state governor, Senator Obasani, listened to their cry and reviewed down the fees to a reasonable amount many can afford.
As a caring, responsible government, we have accepted the recommendations and accordingly reviewed the fees downward as follows. Kaduna State University, current fees 150,000, reduction 30%, new fees 105,000. New Bamali Polytechnic, current fees 100,000, reduction 50%.
Dennis and other students in different tertiary institutions across the state are now happy. The governor promised to continue taking measures that will ensure every child in the state have access to quality education without facing any hardship. In Kaduna, I am Muhammad Umar Ajingi, NTA News.
All right, we'll also be joining Mohammed Umar Ajingi live this time around. He's standing by to give us more update on the school fees reduction in Kaduna State. Mohammed, I'm sure the student embraced this new development by the state government there with, smiles and encouragement for them to be able to afford tertiary education. Please tell us what you have for us.
Well, the students here in Kaduna State are very excited with this development. The state has about 4 tertiary institutions owned by the state government, which includes the Kaduna State University, that's KASU in the state metropolis where I am right now, Nuhu Bamali Polytechnic in Zaria, and College of Education Gidanwa in southern part of the state, as well as School of Health Technology in Makarfi. A couple of days ago, the state governor, Senator Obasani, announced the downward review of these school fees, which was suddenly increased a few years ago, a situation that has brought a very serious reaction from both the students as well as the parents who pay these school fees, because the students are not expected to pay all the school fees to stay in school. The accommodation here in the school is not quite available for all of them. So many of them were left with no option but to stay off campus, which they pay a house rent of over 250,000 naira. They also must have some money in their pocket to feed themselves. So the sudden increase of the school fees has come with a lot of hardship to the students here in Kaduna State. Like you've heard from one of the students in that report, that is exactly the story of many of them here. But with the sudden reduction of the prices, the students are now very excited and happy. I have one of the students with me who will tell me how they feel when the governor made this pronouncement. How did you feel with this reduction of school fees?
Well, to me, I was excited and I was glad about what he did. We must recommend him and we must applaud him for a job well done, because So many of us already left hopeless because we did not know what will become of us in the new semester to come. That's for we that will be moving to the new semester. So many of us have younger ones that want to come to this same institution, and at that price, it would have become too much for our parents to afford. But with what he has done, at least we can manage ourselves well, and we are also able to do a lot of things with even the money that has been reduced. We want to thank the governor for this great job that he has done. We still want to beg on him to do more, not just in terms of school fees now, but in terms of the comfort of the students. So many things are still lacking, but we do hope that he will look into the matter and do something about it. Thank you.
Well, we are meant to understand a lot of your colleagues have left school because of the sudden increase of the school fees. But someone was telling us from our little research earlier on that nobody was denied to write examination or anything. So is that true?
Yes, that's very true. Very true. Yes, nobody was denied to write examination, and as we all know, the results will be out very soon, and also you will not be denied from seeing your results, and this is a great thing to do.
So what do you do? The only thing they've taken undertaking to pay later, is that what happened?
Yes, we were made to sign undertaking form so that we can pay later, and they made all of us that signed those undertaking form to write the exams, and we are happy about that.
Well, thank you very much. I've been talking to one of the student union leader on this matter. I have also another student here who wants to respond to this issue. So how did you feel when you heard this news of the reduction?
First of all, I have to say Alhamdulillah, Alhamdulillah, Alhamdulillah. I have to commend the state governments on this right decision they have taken at the right moment. Because with the hardship we are facing in this country, Governor Obasani made this right decision at the right time. Yeah, it's a commendable thing. We have to thank him a lot. And please, I'm pleading with the state government to please, they should add on top of what they have done. Because some of us, not all, some of us might not have the ability to pay.
Thank you very much for coming. I've been talking to some of the students here who are excited and happy with the pronouncement of the downward review of the school fees. Back to studio.
Thank you very much, Mohammed. I'm sure the students are very delighted with this development. Thank you for that update. Let's turn to other issues. State governments have been advised to proactively plan to complement federal government's efforts in the distribution of palliatives to the vulnerable in their respective states to soften the effect of fuel subsidy removal. While sharing their perspectives on the matter, guests on NTS Good Morning Nigeria believe that approaches to address challenges emanating from fuel subsidy removal should be multi-dimensional to make the desired impact. Lydia Sampson reports.
Most states say they have already constituted palliative committees towards effective distribution of items received from the federal government. While some have commenced distribution, others are still working out template and modalities of sharing the items.
We have earmarked over 300 million or 325 million to give to the most vulnerable group. The aged, as I earlier said, the civil servant that their take-home pay cannot even take them home.
Immediately we have been receiving the 50 kg rice. We have the governor directed that we should set up a committee which should devoid of any political coloration whatsoever. And the committee was set up and it was now inaugurated last Tuesday.
This is as the social register generated independently during COVID-19 has been discarded or is being reviewed to bring it up to date. The guests reiterate that political consideration will not be allowed to determine the distribution.
The state's supposed to have by now, as the federal government was planning to do their own, they should be planning to do their own and merge and do it. That's how the conditional grant scheme worked.
While states were also encouraged to further undertake needs assessment, the guest reiterates that monitoring and evaluation must be prioritized to mitigate sharp practices in the distribution chain. In Abuja, Lydia Sampson, NTA News.
All right. Well, federal government is making efforts to ensure that these palliatives are well distributed across states. For Bayelsa State, the state warehouse, where that's for the State Emergency Management Agency, we hear was looted by hoodlums. We join our correspondent live now from that angle. I'm talking about Aya Prize. She's going to give us an update following the looting of the warehouse. Aya, can you hear me? Please go ahead.
Well, welcome to Bayelsa State. Right now, I'm in front of the warehouse being run by Bayelsa State Emergency Management Agency, where palliatives of the 2022 flood were kept. And actually, officials of the agency were here the late hours of yesterday to clear the facility in anticipation of new supplies that will be made in view of the predicted flood to come. And, from an investigation, we discovered that residents who perhaps got wind of the effort by the State Emergency Management Agency in trying to remove those palliatives or food items that are kept there and which were apparently spoiled, came around and made away with them. And here we have the Chair of the Bayelsa State Emergency Management Board, Honorable Igburubia Walama, who is here to give perspective to what transpired. Welcome, sir.
Thank you.
What actually happened here? Nigerians are eager to know the true situation on ground.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Prezi. Yesterday evening, to be precise, I was at 12, and we did some cleanup of the warehouse that is behind you. The warehouse was the warehouse we used during the 2022 flood, where we kept all the flood palliative. And we wanted to get in new items from Port Harcourt and different places, and there was a need to clean up the warehouse. So we decided to do some cleaning up and fumigating of the area so that we can bring in new consignments. But to our greatest surprise, after I left this scene at about 7:30 or thereabout, less than 1 hour, I got a call that the warehouse had been invaded. So when I got back in the night, that was around 8:39, I noticed that the warehouse itself was not invaded, but those items that were kept aside after identifying that those items were bad and spoiled, not actually expired, but those items were spoiled because as a result of either rainfall during that period of flooding or bad supply. So we decided to keep it one. So I tried to evacuate those items and I brought them out to the premises. To our greatest surprise, we noticed that people invaded those items that are spoiled, thinking it was a good item that they were cutting away, that the Bayelsa State government has hoarded food
thank you so much, Honorable. Now we want to move to the Deputy Police Public Relations Officer, Bayelsa State Command, Bayelsa State Police Command, ASP Musa Mohammed. You are the people in charge of maintenance of law and order. When you heard what happened yesterday, how were you able to handle or manage the situation?
Good afternoon, Nigerians. My name is ASP Musa Mohammed, the 2IC Police Public Relations Officer of Bayelsa State Police Command. Yes, the command is aware of the incident that happened yesterday. Upon receiving the distress, the state command deployed the police operative of the command to the place where the incident happened. So upon our operatives reaching there, they saw some residents who were forcefully trying to gain access to the premises. Upon intelligence we've gathered so far, it shows that the warehouse was not burgled
the warehouse was not burgled. It was only the premise which some people, some suspected persons tried to they gain access into, and they made away with some of the...
Okay, thank you. For now, what are you doing to ensure that the place is safeguarded and breaches whatever is not allowed to happen?
Yes, the Commissioner of Police is a strategist. Yes, he has put some strategies. He has ordered the deployment of some of our personnel to this place to mount the warehouse in order to foster peace and orderliness within the premises.
Thank you so much. Actually, from the look of things, the situation on ground everywhere is at peace. The place is calm, contrary to the speculations or what is in the social media space. Even now, we can see some of the spoiled items, and the cleanup of the place is still ongoing in expectation of the new supplies that would be made possibly very soon. This is where the much we can take from here back to routine the studio. Thank you, Nigerians.
Thank you very much, Aya Prize, for that clarification and update. Good to know that the right authorities have intervened and there is calm. We head to Lagos now to join Michael. He'll pick up with more reports on Nationwide. Michael.
Thank you, Ruth. Youth in Nigeria have resolved to support President Bola Tinubu's renewed hope agenda to tackle the socio-economic challenges facing the country. This resolution was made at a youth summit held in Lagos. Unwabufo has details.
The youths identified some of the challenges militating against national development to include cybercrime, oil pipeline vandalism, and human rights violations, among others. The youth said they are committed to fighting against these vices and collaborating with the present administration to transform the country.
We are partnering with National Directorate for Employment to see how the youth could be empowered in terms of skills, entrepreneurship, in order to prepare them for the future.
The Director General, Nigeria Television Authority, Salihu Dembos, represented by the General Manager, NTA Lagos Channel 10, Tunji Adekoya, among other stakeholders, assured of readiness to partner with the youth and also enjoin them not to relent in their fight to achieve a better Nigeria.
The youth should do away with anything a drug because of better future they have.
Our efforts still require the support of our youth because they are the ones that are majorly engaged in this, and they are the ones that are always enlisted into these particular activities.
Recently, the International Maritime Bureau has delisted Nigeria from the list of piracy-prone nations in the world. That is a great achievement for the nation.
The Youth Summit attracted civil society organizations and security agents, among other stakeholders across the country. In Lagos, Mwabufonwoye, NTA News.
In a bid to advance academic excellence among children of active and deceased police officers, the Police Officers' Wives Association (POWA) has presented educational grants to the first set of beneficiaries in Lagos. Leneneke reports that in addition to these, funds for the rehabilitation of some police primary schools was also presented by wife of the Acting Inspector General of Police, Elizabeth Kayode Egbetokun.
These 35 students are the first set to benefit from the Police Officers' Wives Association Educational Grant, instituted to ameliorate financial burden of officers who in most cases struggle to meet their children's educational needs. Wife of the Acting Inspector General of Police said the grant will help unlock potentials of beneficiaries and actualize their dreams.
Each scholarship awarded today is a testament to your potentials, and I am confident that you will make the most of this opportunity to excel and contribute meaningfully to the society.
Initiator of the program and chairperson of POWA Lagos chapter, is optimistic that the grant will assist in promoting the education among youths in the cycle of beneficiaries.
The conviction of empowerment through education led me to embark on a comprehensive tour of some police primary schools in Lagos State.
Or if we have to, out of our integrity, struggle to keep the future of our children bright, or brighter than it is, and we have leadership within the ranks of our wives.
Beneficiaries expressed appreciation to POA for the gesture.
It would make life more easier for me in my school activities. I don't have to worry anymore to run back to my parents for emergency again.
In Lagos, Lynn Lenake, NTA News.
Do not forget to follow this news broadcast live on our website at nta.ng/live and on our other social media handles displayed on your screen for updates. Time for some messages, and when we return, the news continues from our Just Network Center.
On to Nationwide on the network service of the NTA. Welcome to JOS. National Emergency Management Agency says it remains committed to its mandate of formulating policies relating to disaster management in Nigeria. Plateau State Supervisor, Special National Economic and Livelihood Emergency Distribution, Akiode Said, stated this in Jos while distributing relief materials to 2022 flood victims in the state. Ndenyang and Deabagyang has details.
The distribution of relief materials to 2022 victims of flood disaster in Plateau State is recording huge success as beneficiaries take their turn to receive their materials with gratitude to the federal government for the gesture.
I'm grateful for the intervention. We pray more will come.
We are grateful to God for this relief. We have waited for so long. We give God praise for witnessing it.
Everybody will get this material. Since they have their slate, the items are available for them. So they should maintain the right line we have put them out. So definitely everybody online, except you are not online, except maybe you utter what is on your slate, you may not be able to get. But as the way we are doing it, everybody is getting accordingly. We have stacked it according to the grade, according to the product, the livelihood, non-food and food.
Plateau State government is also full of appreciation to the federal government for steps taken to address the plight of victims.
NEMA has been up and doing, and Plateau is a beneficiary, and our people are very excited, and we are happy. The state took some steps, even in alleviating the suffering of some of the victims.
Meanwhile, two local government areas, Jos North and Jos South, have benefited from the exercise out of the 17 local government areas of Plateau State. In Jos, Ndenyan and Deabagyang, NTA News.
In other news, training of personnel is an essential condition for success in every military activity. Chief of Accounts and Budgets, Nigerian Army Major General Adetokunbo Fayemiwo stated this in Jos at the 3-Division Finance Training Week 2023. Saadatu Mohammed Kafa reports.
The training has at its theme building capacity for a professional and efficient financial service delivery in the Nigerian Army. It is to enhance knowledge, skills and capacity of finance officers and soldiers of the Nigerian Army in achieving the Chief of Accounts and Budget's vision of having a proactive and proficient corps in delivering financial services to support the Army in its mandates. Guest of honor at the opening of the training says, for Finance Corps to continue to be relevant, its officers and soldiers must continue to develop capacity that will enable them provide financial service delivery to the Nigerian Army. For the host, GOC 3 Division, the presence of the Chief of Accounts and Budget depicts the importance he attaches to training of personnel for efficient service delivery.
Training remains paramount in the discharge of our constitutional responsibilities to the Federal Republic of Nigeria. It does becomes imperative to train officers and soldiers of the Nigerian Army continuously to ensure they remain proficient to carry out their duties at all times.
The special guest thereafter inaugurated a block of 31-bedroom flats for soldiers at Phase 2 of the 3 Division headquarters to enhance personal welfare. From Maxwell Kobe Cantonment, Saadat Muhammad Kafa, NTA News.
Those are the stories from here. It's back to Ruth in Abuja for the continuation of Nationwide. Ruth?
Thank you very much, Felicia. Experts in the agricultural sector are utilizing innovation and increasing food production by developing varieties of cash crops to ensure food security. Now, one of such is the production of 2 varieties of the local Ofada rice in Ogun State, rich in nutrients and recommended for management of some health challenges. In this report, Yemi Dalemo takes us through the benefits of the Ofada rice for human consumption.
This type of farm is a common sight in Ogun State, where the local rice indigenous to the people of the state are cultivated. The indigenous Ofada rice is a local species of the popular rice known in the botanical circle as Chrysa sativa. Agricultural experts describe Ofada rice as a combination of chunks which necessitated further research to develop other varieties that will not only be rich in nutrients but can also assist in controlling certain health challenges such as diabetes. This led to the production of the 2 varieties of Ofada rice, which are Ofada white and gold. The variety no doubt offer more advantages for the body, and it is gradually finding its way into the markets in Ogun State, while more farmers and private sectors are now keen into its cultivation, such as this farm in Alabata area of Abeokuta, Ogun State. In Abeokuta, Yemi Dalemo, NTA News.
All right, if you've tasted Ofada rice, you know it's very sweet. We now join our correspondent live, Yemi Dalemo. He's at the Federal University of Agriculture, Abeokuta. He wants to tell us about the variety of this rice and what is in it in terms of plans for its sustainability. Yemi, please just go ahead.
Hello, Ruth, and thank you for joining us in Abeokuta. Now, just like we have tie and dye, local fabrics known as Adire fabrics in Abeokuta, so also we have Ofada rice that is synonymous and indigenous, a local food in Abeokuta. In fact, it is like when you go to a social gathering or a home and you are not welcome with Ofada rice, like you have not eaten anything tangible from that visit to the party or to the homes. To provide more alternative to the people from eating foreign rice, to reduce their dependency on foreign rice, and to make sure that there is food sufficiency, that is why a professor of plant breeding and genetics at the Federal University of Agriculture, Abeokuta, embarked on a 3-year research that led to the production of the 2 varieties of Ofada rice, as you have just listened to in that report, the Ofada white and Ofada gold. Each of these Ofada is beneficial to the human body. Now, to speak more on the production of this Ofada rice, I have the professor of plant breeding and genetics at the Federal University of Agriculture, Abeokuta, who actually embarked on a 3-year research to produce this 2 variety of Ofada rice. I have Professor Abayomi Showemimo with me. He's going to tell us more about the 2 variety of Ofada rice. Professor, sir, how were the 2 varieties of Ofada developed?
Thank you very much. The 2 varieties of Ofada rice, Ofada gold and Ofada white, which we named for number 1 and for number 2 here, were actually a product of demand-driven breeding, where we have the stakeholders, that's 2 of them, the farmers and the end users, coming together along with us and agreeing to set objective for what they want in this material. So we're able to bring them in through recurrent selections. We're able to bring out the best in them, and which includes the distinctiveness, how distinct are they, the uniformity when they plant them, and also the stability across the environment in which we were able to evaluate them. And we also got the farmers also involved by evaluating these materials. And lastly, we also use what we call value for cultivation and use. And that is, we look at the yield, the height, the grain color, the grain types, and also we concentrate on the nutritional content of these materials. And that is how we were able to bring them out. We throw them back to the farmers. They went through it. They came, they helped us in selection. And at the same time, they're able to bring out the best 3. And out of the 3, we're able to take all of them to the National Variety Release Committee in Ibadan. And on evaluation, they came, they evaluated, we went to present. And eventually, they now selected 2. We proposed 2 that are good enough, and then they were released.
Prof, you have carried out the research to produce the 2 varieties of Ofada. Are there plans to extend this research to other crop varieties?
Yes. We don't just want to breed and keep, but we get people involved, because there's no gainsaying when you breed, you keep, nobody is taking them. We want them to really come, and then we work together. We're still also working on cassava. We have maize that we're working together with, and we have a team also working on vegetable crops. So we're expanding, and we're moving more and more. And you find out that in the next 2-3 years, we'll be talking about releasing newer Ofada rice, because those same 2 had been mutated. We went all the way to Ghana to mutate them, and then these materials, we have gone to M6, M7, and then the genes are fixed. So we have broken the yield ceiling. We have higher yields now and more nutritional content. So we're moving into other areas. Yes.
Professor Chukwuemeka, we thank you for your time. And that is it from Abeokuta. We now join Kemi in Ibadan for continuation of Nationwide.
Yemi, and welcome to Ibadan. The need for border communities and traders to have harmonious relationship with the Nigeria Customs Service to facilitate desired revenue for the government has been emphasized. This came to the fore during an interactive session between members of the Senate Committee on Abuse of Firearms and some stakeholders in Oyo State. Correspondent Shola Wahid has the report.
The ad hoc committee chairman, Senator Francis Fadaunsi, explained that there are benefits in intermittent engagement between the Nigerian Customs Service, traders and community leaders to discourage smuggling.
There are a lot of exportation being done here, done illegally, because they have to go to Ibadan to lodge their documents. But if the post is organized the way SMS organized, that of GBI is organized, you will see a lot of revenue coming in form of foreign exchange to the federal government.
When you designate a place, border, town, there will be free flow of goods and services across the border, legitimate trade, and that will also create employment for the citizens.
Paramount ruler of Shaki, Oba Khalid Olabisi, appreciated the committee members and pleaded that Shaki indigenes need developmental projects from the federal government.
Shaki is the biggest town abutting Nigeria-Benin border in the southwest. But we are not feeling the impact of government in regard to that.
Earlier, the senators were at the headquarters of the Nigerian Customs Service to interact with some traders who took their turn to commend the controller of Oyo Osun Command, Babajide Jayoba, for maintaining peace since assumption of office in Ibadan. Shola Wahid, NTA News.
An effective monitoring mechanism must be put in place by the federal government if the palliative approved to state government will get to appropriate quarters. This formed part of the opinions of experts while reacting to the 5 billion naira palliatives to cushion the effect of subsidy removal. Anthony Gandrinu has the details.
President Bola Tinubu, through the National Executive Council, approved 5 billion naira to cut across the 36 states and the Federal Capital Territory following the removal of fuel subsidy, which led to hike in the cost of items in the country. In addition to the fund, 5 trucks of rice were also assigned to each state government. Reacting to these developments, Nigerians say a proper and effective monitoring of the program will bring about thorough implementation.
Government can roll out palliatives. It is not something out of place. Like I said, even if the federal government declared palliative today, meant for vulnerable Nigerians, so to say, how are we sure that these palliatives will get to the vulnerables?
What Nigerians want is the structure and the infrastructure. If you don't put this in place, you have done nothing.
Stakeholders who described the move as a welcome development but a temporary measure which will mitigate the effect of economic hardship being faced by Nigerians advised the federal government on fixing the nation's refineries.
If there are other means to cushion the effect, which I know this government is planning, in area of health, let the health be free for everybody.
In Ijebu-Ode, Anthony Gandonu, NTA News.
And that's it from Ibadan. More reports from Abuja with Ruth. Ruth, it's back to you.
Thank you very much, Kemi. With less than 3 months to the governorship elections in Kogi, Imo and Bayelsa states, INEC says the lessons drawn from the 2023 general elections will assist the Commission in conducting more credible elections. INEC National Commissioner Professor Abdullahi Zuru and the Director General of the Electoral Institute, Dr. Sahad Umar Idris, gave the assurance at the annual Abubakar Momo lecture in Abuja. Guest lecturer and professor of political science Adele Jinedu attributed major challenges in the 2023 general elections to power play among desperate politicians, while urging INEC to up its game in the field of technology.
Is to be sought primarily beyond INEC, but more fundamentally within the complex interplay of an anti-people-centered diabolic politics that framed and vitiates the ethical moorings and also the constitutional guardrails, without which neoliberalism and constitutional government will wobble dangerously towards falling over the precipice.
Or the successful conduct of the 2023 general elections provides a pedestal upon which we prepare for the forthcoming off-cycle governorship elections. As we are all aware, in Imo, Kogi and Bayelsa. Therefore, it's very, very critical and important and imperative to draw insight from what happened in 2023, taking a critical look of what went wrong, what needs to be improved, as well as to avoid the mistakes and pitfalls of 2023 general elections.
Let me also use this opportunity to echo the appeal by the Honorable Chairman of INEC to the political parties, candidates and supporters to shun political violence and adhere to the laws, regulations and guidelines as stipulated in the electoral legal framework during their campaigns on election day and post-election period.
With early measures taken, INEC is optimistic that the outcome of the November 11, 2023 off-cycle elections will be widely acceptable. The task of implementing court decisions has been noted to be a challenge for those concerned in some countries of the world, including Nigeria. Now, this is because of vested interest. A legal practitioner, Omolola Richard, speaks with NTA News earlier on how Nigeria could benefit from adherence to the rule of law as part of its justice reform process. Barrister Omolola, you agree with me that rule of law is statutorily sacred, but we get to see the public, some persons comment on issues that are still before the courts without waiting for courts to reach a decision on them. What would you say regarding that? How do we dissuade public opinions before court judgments?
I'm talking about our kind of traditional system. That is going to be a little very difficult, if I'm to put it at that. It's going to be very, very difficult because of our kind of settings. When you're in a public bus or transport, you hear people talk about, in fact, some people even give judgments before the court's decision. When you find yourself in the marketplace, you see the same situation. People are always discussing it and all that. I think one of the things we ought to need to do is public enlightenment. Let people understand that until the court gives its final judgment, nobody has the right to say anything or give judgment on it. There need to be more of public enlightenment, so that people will understand that, look, this matter is already before the court, and so they don't have anything, or they don't have a right to opinion. They don't have anything to say on that.
And just before I let you go, the 2023 annual conference for the NBA is still going to run for this week. And reforming justice in Nigeria takes a lot of commitment. How can you, what do you think the NBA should reach as a form of consensus to have the public, have confidence in the judiciary again?
There will be need to reform some of our laws. Some of our laws have gone obsolete, and some of our laws are not being obeyed. I don't want to go into the details, but we speak so much about the independence of the judiciary. But the question is this: how independent is our judiciary? How independent is our judiciary? And until our judiciary are granted that independence, we'll continue to have issues when it comes to the rule of law.
All right, that was Barrister Omolola Richard speaking on reform in the justice system. And that's nationwide. Thank you very much for your time. Ruth Aguele. Do have a pleasant evening. Bye.